those who don't know me, my name is Ronnie. I am a donor egg mom in waiting. And what that just means is my doctor told me the best chances of me bringing a baby home was through donor conception. And so that's what I did. And so
Hi, Indigo.
when I started, looking around and trying to find out how to navigate this, I was in every group. I actually ran into Indigo at one of the Facebook groups. Me and her just started talking. I actually was with Indigo in real time when everything went down with her story and how nervous she was. I had to go back and look at my text messages. I was like, our chat thing, and I was like, girl, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it tonight. But so in case you didn't know, Indigo did embryo donation, and that just means that when a couple complete their family, they donate them to either the clinic or they do self-matching and stuff like that. So without further ado, I want to bring Indigo. I know you said I had to go back. You did, and I repost it all the time, and I actually kind of did it today. But she did a post for us one day. It was like we were all it just was the group was down bad, y'all. Mm-hmm. We was down bad, and she immediately got on her YouTube and she made a video and she said 22 years. And I said 22 years 22 it took years. Me to get my baby. Mm-hmm. 22 years. Don't give up. So we're gonna let you start. 22. Well, it's a little bit more than 22 years ago now. Yeah. It's about 25 years ago now.
Yes. I'm 51 now. So
no.
Yes, 51. I turned 51 in July. So it's been a long time. We're talking 26 years now.
Wow.
26 years since my journey began.
Okay.
So it's been a long haul. And y'all, I'm about to do it again.
I was going to ask about that later on in the interview.
Okay. But yes, it was a long, hard journey, y'all. I mean, through a divorce, through, so many rounds of IVF, financial burdens. I mean, if it's something you really want, you're going to go for it. But mentally, you have to be ready.
Right.
Definitely have to be ready, because it is a mental journey from when you're having your losses, from when you're doing your IVS, from when you're getting the negative pregnancy test. I'm telling you, y'all, I took 107. I actually went back and counted them. I took 107 pregnancy tests when I found out I was pregnant. We took 107 because I couldn't believe I was pregnant. So I kept taking them every day. Before I go to ultrasound, I was so nervous because I could not believe it. It took so many years that I had to literally continue to test because I couldn't believe I was pregnant. All those years of a no, and then finally getting a yes, it was like, so mentally you have to be ready for it because it will break you down and then it'll build you back up. So it definitely will.
So you had PCOS, and
Yes.
Let's talk about that because most Black women, majority of us do have PCOS, some form of that. Did you get diagnosed, or did you just realize that maybe were your cycles? Because PCOS looks different for everybody. So what did it look like for you?
For me, I didn't get my first menstrual until I was 15. So that was kind of red flag number one. But back then, they weren't thinking that way. They were just like, oh, she's just a late bloomer. It'll come. Actually, when I went in the military and, I started doing workups and stuff, they were like, well, we think you have something called PCOS. Never heard of it before. So that's when everything started. They put me on something called Premarin, which is like another form of progesterone. And then they put me on metformin. So I did that regimen for quite some time. And then they kept saying, oh, we'll just do Clomid. You're young. You're fine. By this point, I'm married. So we're like, okay, we're going to try for a child. We're going to try for a child, and tried for years. Mind you, the first time I was married was for 15 years. And no children came. None whatsoever. Not a false positive. No children came. We went through the IUIs. We went through everything. It just was not working. And we tried everything. When I tell you we tried everything, and at some point you feel, okay, I'm broken. What can I do to fix me? You start going through these big doubts of why me? I see everybody else around me, having these children, having these family, and your whole dream was just to be a mother. I could care about anything else. I just wanted to be a mother. And it was like everything kept knocking me down. Every time I said, okay, there's a ray of light right there and nothing. And the PCOS, I have a severe version of it. So I get the facial hair. I have the dark marks. I don't have them as much anymore, I think, because as I got older, my body actually changed, which a lot of times they won't tell you that. But I found that out when I was going through the IVF with Justice, that your body starts changing as you age. Some things that you have kind of correct themselves, some things don't. But I used to have a very dark neck. I carry all my weight in my stomach. So I had all the markers for PCOS. So I just had them all. And it was just ridiculous. Like literally I was a poster child for PCOS. There was nothing, like everything about me just said PCOS. And like I said, I had to do so much research on it. Wasn't quite sure. And the metformin can have some horrible after effects. And like I'm on $1,000 milligrams twice a day. This is where they had me at. So I was on so much metformin. Like I said, emotionally, I'm over here. Physically, I'm over here because I'm taking all these medications. Like I just didn't know which way was up. And PCOS will do that to you. But then I had other underlying conditions because then I had a blocked tube. So, on top of the PCOS, then I have a tube that's blocked, but they didn't diagnose that till later on. So it was just one thing after the other thing after the other thing. Literally, when I did none of my actual IVFs did I produce more than 4 eggs. None. Even in my early 20s. None of my IVF produced more than 4 eggs. And the one IVF that looked like it was going to be successful was just 2 eggs, but they could only put 1 back in because only 1 was healthy. And I'm in my 20s at the time, and they're not getting healthy eggs. So it was just, like I said, it was one smack after the other, and you keep saying to yourself, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And, I had to get over that and say, I'm going to get past this. We're going to get past this. And so when embryo donation or adoption came into play, I was like, well, what is this? Is this something that can help me? And at this point I'm in my 40s and I'm like, I never heard of this. And, we don't have a lot of money. A lot of us don't have a lot of money. You can't keep going through this. You're like, I can't afford to have somebody else carry my child. I can't afford this. None of us are in that financial bracket, some of us, but most of us are like, how can I afford this? This is something new. It's got to be catastrophic in cost. And literally somebody else from another group that I was in on Facebook was like, no, you got to do this. You got to do this. So they kind of led me in the way. And she was also an African-American woman. And she actually had her first child at 51. So yes, she had been trying, never was married, single mom by choice. And she was just like, she said she got an overwhelming feeling in her early 40s. She wanted to be a mother. But by this point, she had no partner. She had none of this. She's like, but she went with, and it worked for her the very first time. So it's like, sometimes that's just your rainbow. That's just over your rainbow. And, but like I said, you have to be ready to say, I have to give up my side of it. You have to be ready to say, is it okay to give up my side, my genes? Are you okay with that? And I had to come to terms with that. Because believe me, I was about to say, no, we're going to do my eggs again. I was like, I'm going to spend this money to use my eggs again because I want to know what I would produce. But I'm be honest, I look at Justice sometimes, my son, and I see me. I see my brother. I see somebody else. I see so many people in my family. Everybody who looks at him goes, there's no way he's not yours. He looks just like somebody in somebody's family.
He does.
So I just believe that God has a path for everybody. And I look at him all the time and go, you were in a freezer for 5 years? I do. Yeah. I look at him and go, amazing. It's amazing what science has done. It's amazing that it made me a mother at 47 years old. Somebody who would have never had that opportunity had it not been for somebody giving me that opportunity. Because somebody said, we've completed our family, so now I'm going to give you this gift. I would not be a mom if somebody didn't give me this gift. So I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. Like, if y'all really knew my story, it's a story. And like I said, I've been through divorce, remarry, it was a lot. And it was all due to fertility. My ex-husband went on to have 5 children.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, I was like, because I remember you sitting there talking about, you know, that everybody around you is having children, and now you've gotten a divorce and your husband, ex-husband, has moved on to have children. Like, what emotionally did that make you feel like?
Like I was nothing. Like I was empty. I was empty for a long time, but I didn't know it. It took
Right.
therapy for me to realize how empty I actually was. Like I felt broken. Like, okay, I'm in a marriage. I'm doing all this. And mind you, 2 of the 5 was while we were married that I didn't know about. But, you know, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Yes. But yeah, so, you know, that really makes you go, oh my goodness, like, what is wrong? Like, this is what I'm on this earth to do. And sometimes it just doesn't work the way it's traditionally supposed to work. But, and funny part is, he actually had called me up and congratulated me on being pregnant, which
I
I
remember
thought
that.
was the craziest thing ever. But he literally congratulated me, like, I know this is what you always wanted. And believe it or not, as the years have passed, he's, you know, said hi to Justice. Like, it's like he's like, wow, like you finally got it. He goes, you are so much happier now. You're in a different space now. And I am. I'm in a totally different space than I was 5 years ago. Like
Right.
mentally, physically, emotionally, everything because of that one gift. The gift that made me cry the day I got it, because as y'all know, he was not the eggs I was supposed to get. He was
No,
not
he
the
was
embryo.
not. He
It
was
was supposed
not.
to be a different group of embryos, and I'm literally in a car because I drove from North Carolina to New Jersey to do this that morning, and my embryos didn't thaw properly.
Okay, so let's
And
backtrack a little bit
okay,
because you met Sydney,
yes,
and you guys originally, because when I met you, you originally were thinking about using her eggs.
Sydney's correct.
So what happened from the transition to? Because I think you were at
No.
Durham. Were you at Durham?
No, I was outside of Raleigh.
Okay,
In
but the
North Carolina.
clinic, you weren't at Durham, were you?
No, it was in Delaware. It was a clinic
Okay.
out of Delaware that we were going to
Okay.
use. And yes, we were going to use Sydney, my wife, because she's 13 years younger. So we were going to actually use her eggs. And so when we got to the clinic and actually we decided not to do the Delaware clinic just because of some of the hoops we were going to have to jump through, and some of the things that were, some of their policies we kind of weren't on board with. And then they weren't really LGBTQ friendly as much as we thought they should have been. So we decided to go to the Cooper Institute, which is in New Jersey, where Sydney is from New Jersey. So we were like, okay. And this is the funny part. I'm from Pennsylvania. Sydney's from New Jersey. Our embryo, which is Justice, was actually created in their Philadelphia office, which is Pennsylvania. He was put in their New Jersey office, which is where Sydney's from. And I had him in North Carolina where we were living. So it was kind of like a trinity of how it went down. But we were going to use them. And when we got there, Dr. Cooper was like, well, you can actually use your embryos if you want. You're not too old to use yours. And I was like, no, we're going to use hers. And he was like, are you trying to do this now? And I was like, yeah, I really want to. He said, why don't you use some donor embryos? And I was like, what? He was like, well, we actually have some if you want to use them. I'm like, well, how much is this going to cost? No more than your IVF. We only charge you $300 for them. I said, what? He said, yes. If you like them, reserve them for $300. You pick, and they only had like 4 sets to choose from because, you know, African-American donors aren't very popular. Well, at least at that time, I don't know. They may have gotten a little more popular now. And so we were like, we want to do this now. We want to do this ASAP. And Sydney, you know, we hadn't even went through the workup yet. We were just starting the process for her. So we were like, I'm getting older. We don't want to wait that other year, whatever we have to do to go through all that. So let's just go ahead and try this. So we were like, yeah. And COVID was going on. So that's how I got it. I literally called Cooper Institute on Tuesday. I was in his office on Thursday. I put my deposit down on Thursday, and I had my son and me within a couple months of that. Literally, they had to wait for your cycles to go to get the medication on check and on point. And literally, like the first time we could do it is when we did it. And it was like everything kind of fell in place. But that was the only reason we didn't use Sydney's, because we were like, let's rush this along. COVID's going on, everything's shutting down or shut down. We don't know how long this process is going to take, because a lot of things we would have had to have done, we didn't know if they were even up and running. Like to get the blood works, to get the ultrasounds, to get everything was shut down at the time. So he was like, look, we have something in the house right now. If you want to do this now, then this is your opportunity to do it now. So we said we weren't sure how long the wait was going to be if we didn't use the donor aids. So we said, let's just use the donor aids. And that's how that process actually happened.
So you said they have 4 sets, and then you made a decision because we need to tell this side of the story about how God is amazing. Okay. Like this part we need to talk about, because you said they had original set that you had chose, and then you backed out and you chose another one. So talk about that in your decision.
The original set I chose was Justice's set.
Right.
And then we were like, nope. They called me like 2 days after I chose him, and they were like, no, we got a new one in. They're in the Philadelphia clinic. You might want to use these and this. So we looked at the profile, we looked at the ages, we looked at everything, and the way they were frozen, to be preserved, was a better way. So we were like, we want to go with those. We just felt like that was a better batch of embryos. So we went with those. So when that did not work out, that morning they said, well, you can go back to your original batch. We still have them. And anybody who's watched my tapes can tell you I was almost in tears in the car, because I was like, I don't think this is going to work. I think I wasted my money, but I'm already up here. And that's exactly what I said. I said, but I'm already up here, and I'm going to just do this because I'm here. Not that I was excited. And that's the sad part. I was not excited, y'all. I was in tears. I was so disappointed, because I was like, yet here's another disappointment. And here's another thing that a lot of people don't know. The donor father for Justice was in his 50s. The female, yes. So here's the thing. The female was 25, because they used a donor female for the embryos when the couple created them. But the father was in his 50s. That was one of the reasons we kind of wanted to stray away from it, because there's other genetic concerns, especially dwarfism is a major thing when a man is over 50, and a lot of people don't know that. So we did all this research, and I was like, I'm in tears. This is not going to work, or if it's going to work, there's going to be something wrong. Like, I was so distraught, but I did it anyway. And when I left out, I did the famous French fries. I did all that, and I was just like, we're going to see. Literally, we're going to see. Because I really didn't think it was going to work. I'm be honest. I was a non-believer at that point. I'm like, okay, so all this went down. The embryos didn't thaw properly. Then the only other batch that was kind of available at the time was the original that we chose. But it was just like, we got to look at the downfalls of that. Lo and behold, literally, he was put in on a Tuesday. Friday morning I tested, and my test was through the roof. Literally 3 days later. First pregnancy ever. First positive ever at 47. On embryos that, honestly, I didn't even want. I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. I could not believe it. And that's why 107 tests later, we got our little boy. But literally,
and they put 2 in, right?
They put 2 in.
They were not tested. Non-tested. And like she said, they were frozen for
5 years.
5 years.
And the way they were frozen was not the way they use now. It was an older technique. So they weren't even sure how they were thawed or what. I think our biggest thing is we weren't sure if they would have any congenital dysfunctions, because of the way there were so many red flags. These embryos had so many red flags that I was just like, here we go again. Like, it just had so many red flags. And then when we lost one of them, so, it lost one, and then here he goes, and we're just like, okay. And then, as y'all know, he had a heart condition while I was pregnant. So I was constantly going to the cardiologist. We didn't know they had like this team of doctors there when he was going to be born. So it was so many little things during the pregnancy that we just didn't know. We really just didn't know. And I was like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, we can possibly do it again. You're already saying it's not going to work, but you're pregnant. You're literally pregnant. You're literally growing. You're literally changing. You literally feel them. But then we had to go get a Doppler because I was a lot heavier then. You could barely feel them. So I didn't feel him kick. I didn't feel him move. So I'm paranoid. Every week I'm going to the ultrasound place, paying money, mind you, to make sure he was alive, to make sure I hear a heartbeat, to make sure he was there. So literally I was on pins and needles for the first at least 24 weeks of my pregnancy. Until I got to the viable weeks, and that's when I kind of could take a breath. Literally could take a breath.
And you can see her story like in real time. I was there in real time, so I already know like the things. And I remember her saying, well, one, that's when because me and her started talking right before, she had said she found some embryos. And so me and her had been talking, and I would see her videos, and I would I would comment and say, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I remember like you just saying, the day of, and she really makes like light of like how it was, but sis was going through it. She said, there's no way that this is gonna work. I remember you saying, I was like, are we testing early? And you was like, oh yeah, we testing early. We definitely testing early. And one thing in your YouTube videos, because she did not know really very much history about Justice's parents.
Nothing.
She knew she didn't have a picture. And this is the beauty of how God is. She had no pictures. She had, I remember your YouTube video and you said, you were like, this is the much information that I have on my son. About this much information. It was a half of a page that you had about Justice.
Yep.
She was like, this is all I know. I don't know. And your fears about everything, because she was like, she showed the paper. She was like, this is all I know about him. So
nothing.
Talk about those fears in that moment of what you were thinking about. Not even like you said, it wasn't even a half a sheet of paper of.
No, it wasn't. I just had, like I said, I had ages, I had race, and for the most part, that was it. Oh, the year that they were frozen, I just knew that there was a set of twin boys that were delivered from the same batch of embryos. That's basically, I had no knowledge of anything else about them. And like I said, to this day, I don't. Like I said, I probably will do a 23andMe or something when he gets a little older, just so he can have a little bit of history on himself. But I had nothing, no backstory, no nothing. And of course, they did tell me that the donor for the embryo or for the egg was actually a younger college student. That I did know. So I knew that the donor for the egg was a young college student that the couple had bought or paid to make the eggs for them, the embryos. But that's all I knew. I knew nothing about Justice. So I'm on pins and needles the whole time. And when he came out, if anybody who sees, like I do have that on YouTube too, I was crying. I was literally crying. And people who see the pictures are like, you can tell you were just so happy. I was crying because I didn't know. I just didn't know anything when he came out. I was like, he's just so beautiful. He's just so this. He's just so that. Like, I was just like, he looks like this person. He looks like that person. I believe that, some of our genetics cross. I don't care what anybody says, because there's no way, the way this boy looks, there's no way that some of our genetics does not cross, because he genetically, you would think he was my child, literally. And that's the part that's so crazy. He literally looks like me. I'm gonna show him to y'all in a minute.
Oh, I know. Listen, I don't see Justice. And the crazy thing is, Indigo has a partner, and when he first was born, I messaged her and I was like, "Call me crazy, but does he look like Sydney?" And you was like, "Yeah,
He did. He looked just like her."
And I was like
me.
I was like, why does he look like Sydney? You like, I don't know. We're not gonna question it. We're not gonna question it. But he did, and I was like, people will probably think that you use hers. And she was like, you know what? I really don't care anymore. But those fears that you had, because I remember you don't know anything. Now that he's here, like, how do you feel about still? Because again, you only still know that information. How do you feel about transitioning and like teaching him things or whatever? Because he's Black and Hispanic, right? Is he Hispanic?
No, he's Black. He's Black.
Oh, he's all Black. Okay, I thought he was
the
Hispanic.
other embryos would have been mixed. He's all Black.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. You're thinking of me.
I could have sworn he was his. I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
He's all African American, but he's all African American. But the original embryos were mixed because we were trying to do a cross of me and Sydney. So the original embryos were supposed to be a mix of both of us, and that's what I said. With him being just African American embryos, we just didn't know, and it didn't matter. At the end of the day, I was just so happy to be a mom. Like I said, when we took the embryos, but it was just not the unknowing, not having on the original embryos that, that did not throw all out properly, we had so much more information. We had a childhood picture. We had other things that we could compare with. Even when he got older, we could show them a picture and be like, hey, this is who your real mother was. This is who, we would have had something. But for Justice, we didn't have anything. And I mean, when I say they're anonymous, they're super anonymous, because we have, to this day, nothing. And I've even talked to Cooper Institute, because I still deal with them, of course, because of what our next journey would be. And they just refuse, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to do something when he gets older. I mean, I know I discuss it with Justice, and he's only 3.5, so he doesn't, well, not even 3.5 yet. He still doesn't understand, but we do the P That Was Me book, and we still do other stuff, because I don't want it to be a shock when it does come into place, because of course he's gonna have to know. Right. But it's subtle. We say it subtly. As he gets older, he'll start to realize what we mean when we say some of the things we mean. But right now it's just subtle little things, books, stories, things like that. How I tell him all the time, mommy really, really, really wanted you, and I had to go to the doctor to get you, and I tell him stuff like that. So he knows it, and I just tell him I love him all the time. He goes, I love you, mommy. So it's just really, really cute. Like, so but it's hard, because not knowing, but we do have him tested, because like I said, he does have that heart condition. So we have, tried to do some type of genetic testing just to see where that might go or where that might lead. So right now he doesn't do too many strenuous things, because we're just not sure. It still hasn't closed up, and he does go to another cardiologist. Yeah, he goes again, and we still drive him to North Carolina, believe it or not. So we live in Pennsylvania now, but we drive him to his cardiologist in North Carolina, because they're so good with him. So he goes again in November for that. So hopefully that'll be the last time until he's about 7. So that'll be a good thing. So yeah, that's my little mini me. We don't know how.
Yes.
But I stopped. You went to the park today?
Oh, I see Justice all the time. I go on her page and see her twin, and she cut his hair too. I was like, oh, my man got his haircut. No, Justice is not genetically related to her at all. Justice, this is a big boy. He's such a big boy. I remember when he was born, so he a May baby like me. That's my twin. He a twin. Yeah. Yeah. He does look like her for real.
All right, Steve. Going back to
good night.
Go get the mama. Here, go to mama. You're gonna go to mama now. There you go. Thank you. Bye. But yeah, that's my little mini me. I mean, he's my partner in crime. That's why I started working from home, so I can literally be with him 24/7. Like, he does not do daycare. He's with me 24/7.
Yeah, and that's what I said, when because again, we're really talking about, if y'all have some time, like, go through her channel. It's Indigo, living her best life, and real time always looks a little bit different. And I remember vividly her saying, I don't know what he's gonna look like. I don't know what he's gonna if he's gonna be light, if he's gonna be dark. I don't know what he's gonna be like. And the fact that this, you can't tell me God don't be, listen, God works it out. And that's what I say, everybody, he will work it out. Just don't worry about it. Because they're going to look like what they look like anyway.
And that was the thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I tell you, people, you can't tell.
No.
Like, when I tell some people, I'll be like, well, yeah, he was, they were like, no, he's not. He looks just like you. I said, yes. And if I put a picture of my brother up here, he looks identical to my brother at the same age.
Wow.
Like, identical. So it's crazy. He looks so much like my family. My uncle just calls him his little mini me because he looks just like my uncle. Like, it's ridiculous how much of my family he looks like. But then again, he looks like Sydney's cousins. If I put him side by side with Sydney's cousin, you'd be like, that's got to be his cousin's son. And a lot of people have said, did y'all use Sydney's cousin as a donor? Because he looks so much like, and I'm like, no, he didn't come from neither one of our sides, but he looks so much like everybody. He just has everybody look.
So it's called, if you ever look up the term, it's called epigenetics. And it's basically when you are pregnant with your child, your your genetic makeup expresses on the child. So it not DNA, they're not related, but because she grew Justice, because she did all the things, like there's some things that are expressed on him. Again, it's like a plant, you know. And so we see it all the time in our group when, you know, like Keisha, she's, you know, Nia looks very similar to her. Now she did use a cousin, but Sherry, if you look at her daughter, I was like, she looks like you. There are a lot of women that their child looks almost like, you know, like them. There's another girl, she did embryo donation, and when I looked at him, I said, you can't tell me this ain't your baby. You can't tell me this ain't your baby. She's like, girl, this is I couldn't have birthed him. I couldn't have made another baby with my own eggs.
And that's what I said, when I felt like I had lost something, when I was telling you that earlier, where I was like, you have to be all right to lose your genetic side of it. But when I look at him, I don't feel like I lost anything. When I look at him, I see me. I see my family. I see and he has so many of my characteristics. That's the funny part. Like you said, because I grew him, he has so many of my little quirks. He has a lot of Sydney's quirks. You would think she grew him. Like and I know it's your environment. It's really your nurturing. It's your environment, because he has so much of our personalities that it's so crazy. But just I look at him sometimes when he's sleep and go, God, are you sure? You're sure?
Right.
Somehow. One of my eggs didn't cross in it.
Something had to happen. They got to cross in the mix or something. Somebody got to tell me something, because ain't no way. And that's what the thing is, you know, what I tell people all the time is, you know, yes, you have your family, you have your roots, you have your genetics. But if you think about your life, just your regular life in general, you're mostly influenced by your friends, your teachers, church, co-workers. Those are the people who end up shaping you, ideally who you are. Now your core sometimes you'll have as your family and those kind of things, but when you think about your own life, you're influenced by your friends, you're influenced by those people more than you are sometimes your parents or your family. So that's just really truly how epigenetics works. And you know, we take it from a sense of the parent trap situation is, you know, one grew up not so well, the other one grew up very rich. And so even though they're the same DNA, because their environments are different, they acted differently. You know, they acted and behaved in different ways because of their environment. So we always just have to remember that no matter what, that how you influence your child, the positiveness that you give, the love that you give, is going to make them a better human being than genetics will do. Now,
I mean, you see people that birth children all the time that are not good parents at all.
right. Now, Miss Indigo, when she did her journey, she was a little bit heavier. When she had, I mean, you had gestational diabetes. You had gestational diabetes. Did you have preeclampsia when you? Or
I got it the day I delivered. So I didn't have it the whole pregnancy. The day I delivered, I got it, which is the craziest thing. But yeah, I had high blood pressure. So I already had high blood pressure. So I was already fighting against a lot of things when I got pregnant with Justice. And that was another reason that we decided to just go with the donor embryos, because I knew my window was kind of small. Because I didn't find out I had the diabetes until 3 months before we went to Dr. Check's office to do it. They were like, you got type 2 diabetes. I was like, who has diabetes? I don't have diabetes. Well, come to find out my numbers were off the chain. I had to get some things in check before I could, do it. So, that was getting on the medications, finding everything out. And so, so I had type 2 diabetes the whole time. I had to monitor everything I ate. I actually had to write my numbers all day, give them to my provider. So if they were checking them every morning, I had to take a picture of them and send them to my OBGYN so she could look at them to tell me what not to eat or what to do that day. So it was a lot. It was really a lot. I was on all kinds of medications when I was pregnant. And that was another thing that kind of made me concerned as well, too. What's going to happen with all these medications I'm taking? That's why I was so adamant about round 2, making sure I was healthier. And that's why I went on a healthier journey, because I was not healthy. I'm be honest. I was very much overweight. I had a lot of health concerns. And looking back at it in hindsight, Justice is a blessing, because really, he should not be here. Because of my health and the condition I was in technically at that time, there's no way. There was no way. So like I said, he was meant to be here one way or another, because I went through a lot even after I had my kidneys got destroyed. I mean, it's a lot. It is a lot. And a lot of people don't know all the sides of it, because I mean, you only say so much on YouTube, but health-wise, literally, I've been away from YouTube for about a year, because I had to go through 2 different surgeries. Justice has actually been through 2 different surgeries, and it's been a lot going on just to get us both physically okay. But for real with me, honestly, if I look back at it now, I probably wouldn't have did it if I really realized just how unhealthy I was at the time. I didn't realize it. I just wanted what I wanted. And sometimes we don't see the bigger picture, like what it could do to the child or not. And, you know, so that's why I said for this round 2, I'm looking to make myself healthier. And that's really where it came from. It wasn't everybody's like, oh, you're just being vain. You just want to lose the weight because now you got your baby. You just want to be skinny. No. I want to be healthy because I'm 51 years old. Well, at time 50. I'm like, I'm 50. So I got to get together. I got to get out, be able to get down on the floor and play with them. I got to be able to chase him around the park. I've got to be able to do those things. Just because I got the baby now, what do I do with him? Just sit there and look at him all day? I can't do that because we're older. So you got to make sure that you live at least till they're 18, you know, get them up to an adult. And if you don't get healthy, or if you're not healthy, it's not going to work, because you're going to be more of a sedentary parent than an active parent. And I really wanted to be an active parent. And I think I'm more active now than I probably was in my 20s. Even though I was in the military then, I'm probably more active now because I'm always on the go. I'm always on the go. So it's like, yeah, I really had to get my health in check.
I remember she used to do her pregnancy update, y'all, and she was like, I don't know if this is a baby or a bloat. I don't know if this is the baby or is this the bloat. She was doing that almost to like 7 months. I said, that's definitely a baby, man. Y'all think this a baby or bloat? Baby or bloat?
The girl was bloaty. I was big.
I don't know, y'all.
I was making those pictures down, be like, and I thought I was cute.
Is this baby or this bloat? I said, listen, at this, you are 9 months pregnant, girl. That's definitely a baby.
I wasn't that sure. I'm telling you, it did not look like the traditional baby stomach because I was so heavy. That stomach had all kinds of rolls going on in it. I could not feel him. Like literally, I had to go in there and find him, but I found him. But I'm telling you, I wasn't sure. I really was doing pregnancy updates, going, I can't tell where the baby's at, where the baby's at. I could not tell. Like,
she's like, I think he here, y'all. What y'all think? It was so funny. She was like, I think, what is this, y'all? Can you tell me? I'm like we can talk through the video. She was like, what is it?
I really was. I didn't know. Like, it was my first time, and literally my stomach was doing its own thing.
I know.
I got the sleeve when he was not quite a year old. Got the sleeve, lost a total of 92 pounds. Then last July, so it was a lot more because it still happened. Last July, July of 23, I had the petectorectomy, however you say it. It's the medical tummy tuck. Right. So they just removed the loose skin because I had a lot of loose skin. So they did remove that. And I bloated so much, so I actually gained 10 pounds back from that. But that's just for the first year. They say you're going to do that. I'm starting to see that come back off now. I will be having a backline bra lift, my boobs lifted up, and my arms done here soon. And that's going to be the last of everything. But I'm holding off on that until after this next part because like I said, everybody's like, why'd you just get a regular tummy tuck? No, because we knew we was going to do it the second time, so there was no point. But I had to get rid of that skin because after I lost the weight, and I'm going to have to do some updates on YouTube, I had this hanging thingy, my bobby, that was just everywhere, and it had to go. It was getting infected, actually. So that was one of the reasons. And people are like, you just want to flat. Well, it's not really flat. I mean, it's going, but it ain't. You know, I'm not Barbie small or anything like that, but it had to go. It was unhealthy. And another reason a lot of people don't know this, I stopped breastfeeding early because my health got so out of check. I had to get back on my medication. Oh, wow. So really, I couldn't even enjoy breastfeeding as long as I wanted to Yeah. So that was another thing. My medications, I had to go back on them because, like I said, my kidneys had got out of whack after I had him. My blood pressure went through the roof. I was like a walking time bomb. And
Right.
I had to stop. I think he might have been 4 months along when I had to stop and go back on my regular medications to get me back in check. So I felt so bad that I actually had to switch him over to formula because I didn't get myself right. Because I didn't get myself right before I had him, where I could have breastfed for that at least that year. And because of medications, I had to stop because it would have transferred through the milk. So that was something I didn't want to happen the second time. I wanted that connection. Don't get me wrong, me and him are thick as thieves. You would
Right.
never know I didn't breastfeed. He's always up under me. People think, was he breastfed baby? I said, yeah, for 4 months. But you would think, and even when I started giving him the bottle, he would sit up under me like that, and I would still do the skin to skin just so he would still have that same connection. But he was actually getting a bottle at that point. And that was one of my bigger regrets too, with not having my health in check, where I had to get back on all those medications, and almost all of those medications are gone now. So like
Amen.
literally, I went from like 10 medications to like 3. And they're really just maintenance now, just to maintain and make sure that everything's good. Because I've had high blood pressure since I was actually 21. And I've actually had high blood pressure since I was about 21. And so that's always been there. But I went from an actual blood pressure pill to just a water pill now. So I'm literally just on a diuretic now to keep, the water weight off and to keep the blood pressure down. So my blood pressure actually reads normal now. And I actually just had a yearly my exam on the 30th of September, and everything was perfect. My numbers for my diabetes, I'm considered pre-diabetic now. I'm not even considered diabetic now, but you're always going to be diabetic once you're diagnosed diabetic. But my
Right.
numbers were in the 4s. My numbers were in the 10, people. So that's how much my lifestyle changes have affected my health in a positive way. So,
Amen.
like I tell people, this was all for my son. All for my son, because we don't know if the next one's coming or not. But I had to make sure I was healthy for him. And at the end of the day, that's what my goal was, to make sure I was healthy for him. So make sure y'all healthy. Make sure when y'all do this, y'all healthy.
So I want to talk about something. It may be a little controversial.
Okay.
Gender disappointment.
Oh, Lord. I'm still disappointed.
Because Miss Indigo
Yes. So
was
definitely,
team
we
Die
wanted a
Hard
girl.
Pink.
I wanted a girl so bad, y'all. I could taste it. I've always wanted a girl. I always wanted that mother-daughter relationship, because myself and my mother do not have a good relationship. I always wanted that we could go out and get our nails done together. We could go out and just that mother-daughter. I was team pink forever. And we ended up with blue. And when I tell you we cried, I'm not going to lie to you. In private, we cried. We were upset. Some days we still go, where's our little girl? We were upset. And, a lot of people, like you said, you should just be happy with what you have. Be happy with what God gave you. And we are happy. Don't get me wrong. We are extremely happy. But there's definitely realness in gender disappointment, because we were disappointed. Completely disappointed. Like, really wanted a girl, still want a girl. Like, I'm still team girl, but that takes nothing away from Justice, because Justice is always gonna be my first. He's always gonna be my little boy. He is always gonna be mommy's little boy, because he up under me like nothing else. But I really still want a little girl. Like, I just can't get over that. I want a girl.
And we're going to talk about how good, social media is, because didn't you get some little presents?
I did. So I have 2 that are on ice in New York right now that were donated to me, 2 girls. So they are there, but we don't know if we want to use them yet or use Sydney's. And that's the thing. So she's had her whole workup. That's all been done now. So right now, so we're on the fence on, okay, do we want to use Sydney's, or do we want to use the ones that were donated to us, because they were donated, and that was a gift of love that was given to us. And like I said, after seeing that he was, frozen for so long, it's like this sweet child was, and I'm like, do I want to do this 3 times? Do I want to do the donated ones and then turn around and do one of Sydney's? Like, literally. And we said the same thing. We're going to donate what we have left as well. So that's our big thing. We're going to give the gift of love and donate what we have as well when we're done. So, because if it wasn't for somebody donating to us, we wouldn't be here right now. And, for those of you who've seen Sydney, almost everybody's like, yeah, we'll take that. egg. So,
Someone
but
said, okay, if have a little man who's not blood related to you, do you want a baby that is blood related?
it doesn't even matter anymore.
Right.
It doesn't even matter anymore. It mattered the first time. Like literally, we were so, we really wanted one that was blood related, or at least related on one of our sides. It doesn't matter anymore. Once we had justice and we realized that it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter anymore. I did want that, and I had to grieve that. I really did. I had to grieve that passing because of my age. I had to let that go and grieve it, because in reality, I could have used my embryos, but what would have happened? In
Right.
reality, I could have had a genetic child. The doctor said, go ahead. You have enough eggs to do it. You can do it. But in hindsight, I had to think about it and go, what's going to be the best thing? What's going to be most cost effective? And there's so many children that were, that are in, frozen and ready to be born. I mean, there's millions that are out there. And it was like, well, why not give this gift of life anyway? Because I'm given the opportunity, just like I was saying about the other two. We're like, well, we want to do it 3 times, just to do those 2 as well, and then do a set of Sydneys. And like I said, Sydneys, we're going to donate what's left from that, give another gift of love, because, why not? Why not? Somebody did it for us, so we're going to do it as well. Because, a lot of people don't have the money for this, and I'm literally going to donate them. Here you go.
When you think about it, embryos are just tissue. And then, when you see Justice, like, he was just sitting there frozen, he was just frozen. And now he's this little boy, his personality and everything. And, that's really the point of this platform, is to show someone who maybe was on the fence about donating their embryos, and now they can look at you and they see Justice on the screen and saying, like, that was just going to be frozen, just a frozen little embryo, a ball of tissue. And now he's just like this little vibrant little boy that's her twin now. So, I encourage anybody who's done IVF to just, it comes in their own time. That comes in your own time, but definitely think about it. And think about, what could possibly happen, and make it, he's in a good home. He's happy. He's healthy. He love his mama. He not looking for nobody else.
No, and I really thought it was going to be a hard thing to bond with him. Like literally, those were my fears. I'm like, is he going to bond with me? Is he going to think? But you have to realize, well, they're babies. They don't know. They heard your voice all that time in their stomach. You are mommy. You gave them life. Their embryo cord umbilical cord was to you, so you are their life source. So it doesn't matter, and that's what I had to realize. And I realized it so much more once he was born, because I still had all those fears the whole time I'm pregnant. I'm like, what if he doesn't like me? But you go through that, because babies can sense who you are, and who you aren't. And he instantly clicked. But actually, he clicked with Sydney first, so I was just like, he's not gonna like me. He's not gonna like me at all. Slept up under her. Like, the only time he came to me was when he wanted to eat. He could care less about anything else. That was Sydney's little sidekick. I was like, see, I did all this. I carried this baby. I went through this with my body. He don't even like me.
Don't even like you?
That's how I felt. That's really how I felt. I was like, he don't like me. But then, as he got older and stuff, like I said, he is my sidekick now. Like, there's nobody else in my life. That's it. Like, I live for him. Like, literally, like, you would never guess he was not mine. And in my mind, he's mine. There's no comparison. Like, and I think if I had a genetic child right now, it still would not, I would love them just the same, because my love for him is so overwhelmingly genuine. And that's what I was scared of, that I wouldn't love him like that. But I don't know any other love but the love I have for him.
Right.
I know no other love but the love I have for him. Just like when I had my stepson, the only love I had was for him at that time. So you love how you want to be loved. And I love him like his egg was my egg, and he's mine. And when I look at him, I see me. I see my family. I see our personalities. I see, because I'm telling you, he got Sydney's little funky personality, and he got mine.
Someone asked, did she do her egg retrieval yet, or she's going to do her egg retrieval?
Well, she's got 11 of them.
What? Go, girl.
Yeah, but we've got to still test, and we're going to do it one more time to get more, and then we're
Right.
going to do them all as one big batch. We're going to do our round, and then we're donating the rest. So we're going to donate all of them.
Amen. Amen. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Because I just don't want to be that overbearing. I'm just not going to do it. And that's what they say about being older. And I will say that you're more calm. And I'm
Right.
super calm. Like, they tell me stuff, and I'm like, okay.
Right.
Literally, that's really what my facial expression is like. Okay, he'll get through this. This too shall pass. Because, they said he was going to be in the NICU when he was born because of his heart. He came right to the room with me. They said
Yep.
this, that, and the third. He came right back with me. Every time they say something, he overcomes it, conquers it, and keeps it moving. So I just be like, Justice going to do what Justice. That's why his name is Justice, because he just got all kinds of justice going on.
So I said my son had speech therapy also, and now he's 25 and use words I don't even use. And then another one said that they wanted to take her to, she wanted to take her daughter to a speech therapist. Now she can't stop chatting her head off. So, you know, my grandma used to say the same thing, because my brother, he was a slow bloomer. And I mean, he would not talk. Like they, you know, and coming from, I was I was the oldest. He was, you know, the baby. And, you know, I did everything. I was an early walker. I talked early. I was very self-sufficient. And here my brother come, and my mom was like, what you not like doing what your sister doing? And my grandma said, leave him alone. When he ready to talk, when he got something to say, he'll say it. And guess what? We can't shut him up now.
See, and that's so true, because they always say boys are a little slower than girls regardless anyway. So, you know, I really wasn't even worried. And with Justice, he's just his own little person. I swear to God. Sometimes I say, was it because you was in the freezer for too long? What is it?
Yeah.
You got to catch up. Because I just tell him, he just does his own thing in his own. And he knows words I didn't even know he knew. Some days he'll come up to me and say something, I'll be like, where'd you learn that at? What? And like, so he was at one of his speech therapy things the other day, and he said something, and the lady said, I didn't even know he knew my name. He was like, Miss Abby, something, da, da, da. But he calls everybody mom. But he knew her name. So he'll be like, mom this and mom that. Like, if he met you, he'd be like, mom. But he said, he went up to her and was like, Miss Abby, da, da, da. And she said, I just looked at him. Like, so this whole time you knew how to say my name? You just didn't say it. So he does it in his own time. So that's
I'm gonna do what I want to do. Okay, I'm gonna do what I want to do. You gotta leave me alone. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, I'm asking this at the end of each live. What would you tell the woman who was maybe contemplating egg donation, embryo adoption? What would you tell her? What would you change? Maybe your steps in starting this journey of third-party reproduction?
Make sure mentally you're ready. That's number one. Because if you're not ready mentally, everything's going to break you down. So be ready for this journey mentally. Second of all, be healthy. Make sure you're ready to bring this life into the world, because it's, especially if you're older, it's going to take a toll on your body. You just think, oh, I feel good. I feel like I'm 25 and this, that, and the third. But you got to realize chronologically you're not. And your body's going to let you know that. And I broke my body down, y'all. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and make it like a YouTube. Oh, this was great and that was great. I tore myself up. I tore myself up to bring my son here. I broke my body down so much. So make sure physically you're ready for it, you know, because you had a child at 25 and now you're 45 and you want to have one for your new husband and everything went well when you were 25, doesn't mean it's going to go well at 45. So just make sure you're ready to put your body through this, because you're growing a human and your body is going to take from your body. It's going to take from you. I mean, I did a video on YouTube last year, how my hair, you know, I lost so much of my hair. If I didn't have this wig on, y'all would see it's literally going on the grow back. And I actually cut it off really short. So I just got it cut off real short and letting it grow back healthy. But I put my body through so much. Be ready for that. And everybody's journey is different, but be ready and be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, because you're not broken. You're not broken. It's just you got to go about this a different way. But you're going to get to motherhood. It's just the steps you have to take to get there. I never thought I'd be a mother. Never. Especially sitting here at 51 with a toddler. People look at me like I'm crazy. But I'm like, grandparents raise their kids all the time. So what's the difference between me having a child at 20, her 30-year-old self bring me her child and say, Mama, now you going to take care of it. There's no difference. There's no difference than grandparents who've been doing it for centuries. So looking at me crazy because I decided to have a child, and I get that a lot. So I do want to be ready for the trolls. You're too old. You shouldn't have had that baby that old. What you gonna do? But my thing is, grandparents have been raising their grandchildren for years. The only difference is I birthed it, but there's no difference in me raising it if it was my child's child. So I'm just doing it my way, but I'm happy. And this is the first time I can truly say, since I've been an adult, that I'm happy because I'm finally living my truth. And I've always wanted to be a mother. If somebody would have asked me when I was 10, or you asked my mother, what did she say she wanted to be? A mommy. That's all she ever said. That's all I wanted. I didn't care about the knight on white horses. I didn't care about all that. I had my baby dolls, and I wanted to be a mama. I didn't care about nothing else. And so when that was taken away from me, it took something from me. And like I said, I always felt incomplete. But now I'm so complete. I'm like a puzzle that's finally been put together. I'm a 1,000-piece puzzle that's finally been put together. And you know how hard those are. But it just took a long time. And that was my journey. So just be kind to yourself. And you know, you're going to get there. And you can have 1,001 no's. But remember, they always say you're going to have that one yes. It took me 107 pregnancy tests to realize I had that one yes. Man. But I had it. And he's here. He's running around. And he's healthy. And he's happy. And I'm happy. And at the end of the day, I'm happy. And I can really say that. Because, you know, that was a hard thing for me to say 5 years ago. At the beginning of this journey, was I truly happy? I was happy in some aspects, but I wasn't complete. Now I'm completely happy.
I love it. Last question now, because, you know, we can't tell. We can't tell what this, we can't tell at all. DNA. Does it matter?
No. Not at all. It don't matter. Dana don't matter at all.
Dana?
You know, Dana don't matter. Dana is out the equation.
Because when he came out, you said, this is it. Y'all were locked in.
Locked in. Like I said, you worry about that when you're pregnant. And I think everybody who's done this has said they were worried while they were pregnant. But when the baby comes, it's a whole different dynamic. You would never know. I'm telling you. And he's only 3. I forget he's not mine. I forget. Now, that's crazy to say, knowing the journey that I went through. But I forget. I literally be like, oh, that's right, because he looked like, oh, never mind. No, he don't. But I forget. I do. I forget he did not come from me genetically. I forget. And that's what, like, when you go to doctor's appointments and they be like, do you know this? Do you know that? Da, da, da. I'm like, well, my family know, and this one, but we don't know about him. And I have to say that, and I have to remind myself. Then they stop and be like, what? Because, you know, we went from North Carolina to this pediatrics, to here to his pediatrics, and they were like, what? I was like, well, he was an embryo donor. And they were like, huh? You know, right. So I get that a lot. And I'm like, yeah, we don't know too much about him. And that's my biggest thing. But Dana don't matter. We got our own thing going on. So that DNA, out the door. I could care less. He's mine. He's mine through and through. Wouldn't change it for the world. Even though I had that, I wanted that girl. And I still want that girl. But she don't matter right now either, because this is what I got. And I love him to death. He is mommy's. You know how they say mama's baby, daddy's baby? No, that's mama's baby. Period. He's mine. And I don't care if he came from my egg, the next person's egg, the next person's egg. That's mine right there. And I would not change it. And I do fear when he hits 18, 19, when he does know the full aspects of it, what's he going to say? Will he want to meet them? Will he want to make that journey? But I'm hoping that our bond is well enough that I'm strong enough for him to go do that, because that will be his choice. He'll be an adult. But my love is not going to change for him. And I don't think his love for me is going to change, because it's being instilled from him now what the truth is. So it won't be a surprise when he gets older. Like, oh, what's this? Go back and watch the videos, baby. You can see how much mommy wanted you. Go back and watch it because we have all the videos. So we do have the videos, not the ones just on YouTube. We have the videos. So we want him to know his journey and his story. And he's going to see where I cried that I had to take his embryo. He's going to see that. But then he's going to see how happy he's made me since. So I want him to see every aspect of it because that's his story. I don't know anything beyond that. I don't know who his DNA is. I don't know who his Dana is. And I don't care. What I do know is what he got in my home, what he has in my heart, and what he is to me. And that's all that matters. I don't care about the rest because it doesn't matter. You know, he's my son. That is Justice Blue Coleman in there. Blue after his mama Indigo. And he's my justice because they told me for years I would never, this is what I said, never have a child. Never say never. Got one in there right now playing. That's mine. That's mine. Can't nobody take that from me.
I love that she says that he's justice for all the injustice that I endured. For 22 years, I endured.
All the doctors who didn't treat me properly because, you know, they were making money. It's a money racket. Infertility is a money racket. Taking money, taking mortgage money, taking this money, and not doing right. And I think if you know this, when I said it before, I was in my original IVF cycles with Kate from John and Kate +8. Yeah, when she had Maddie and them, we were in the original cycle at Hershey Medical Center together. So when she got pregnant with her twins, we were in I was in that cycle with her. None of the minorities got pregnant. So I always say, you know, looking at 2000 and looking at 2024, the difference in just the whole aspect of it, the way they look at us now. Back then, we weren't supposed to be able to afford it. We weren't supposed to be able to be sitting here in this clinic doing this. We weren't supposed to be. What right did we have to be needing this? Or don't y'all make a whole lot of babies? You know, they have the stereotype for, you know, black women. Don't y'all make a whole bunch of babies? Aren't y'all baby makers? Aren't you this? No, not all of us. Look at Gabrielle Union. Look at all these people now. Look at Ashanti. She's starting to come out that she had some fertility treatments.
Well, we knew that. I knew that.
Yeah, we knew that. But I'm just saying.
Listen. Y'all can say what y'all want to say, but the infertils knew. 40-something, girl. That
exactly.
We ain't gonna even hold you. We already knew where you went.
Well, no, actually, they are part owners of a clinic now.
Approved. They do. They took over Prove. So when she started doing all that, I said, girl, you know, if you have problems, just say that. She needs to say it, you know. We need more melanated women saying like, hey, it wasn't easy for me. And I'm glad that more and more women are speaking up about it. You know,
well, I'm glad Michelle Obama finally said her daughters were conceived by IVF, and you know that put a real face to it. That put a face that, you know, just because you're rich, just because you're prominent, just because you're educated, doesn't mean you always get what you want. And just because you're poor and you're not supposed to be sitting there, because I ain't gonna lie, when I was doing the early 2000s, I was broke. I was in the military, making a little bit of military money and scrounging up every dollar I had to try to be a mother. You know, so there's different faces to this. You know, everybody that you see is not rich and famous and can do this. I am grateful for my donation, because if it was not for that donation part of it, and actually if it wasn't for Dr. Check saying, I have some for you, it's just $300. I looked at him and said, $300? When the other clinic was telling me just to hold them was going to be $2,500. He said, no, just give me $300. It's the same cost as the IVF. And he's one of the top fertility doctors in the nation. He's one of the founding ones. Dr. Chuck's like in his 80s. So he's
I think he's supposed to be retiring, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is. So actually, who I'm working with now in this clinic is one of his other people. But technically, he wasn't the one who put justice in me anyway. It was one of his other ones. But he's the one who did my workup. And that was the best workup I ever had, by the way, ladies. Like, literally, he spent like 3 hours with me and said, never had a workup that thorough ever in my life. And when I say he hit my protocol on point, no problem. So I gotta say, everything fell in place. Thank you, COVID. I hate COVID for a lot of reasons, but thank you, COVID, because if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have justice, because he's booked. Like, when I tell you Check's office is booked, but everybody was canceling because of COVID, they were scared to travel. So I got in and got my baby. Get your babies, ladies.
Go get your baby. I keep telling them, go get your baby. My RE is also retiring too. They finally, it was rumors, but he's finally admitted that he is going to retire. So
Better hurry up. Get that baby.
Listen, that's all everybody was like, you better hurry up, girl, because that's my boo. Okay, I love me some folk. Okay, he's a top RE. Kills. I don't know when Kills is gonna retire.
Okay.
But he's probably at towards the end too. Kilts is really known in the fertility world, but Cooper is definitely, he helps women who are advanced maternal age. He's known to help them. Shannon, in the chat, she used him.
Okay.
And you know, he's helped women over 40 get pregnant. Is he still relatively young? Kilts is. I don't know. I feel like he old too. I will say, if you are trying to naturally get pregnant with Check, you're either gonna get pregnant right away, or you're gonna be in that loop of just trying, and then that's when you just kind of have to either throw in the towel or try something else. But if he gets you pregnant in the 1 to 3 cycles, then you know he'll figure it out.
Yep. And his protocol is so straightforward. Like I said, I've been through IVF so many times. Like, I could write a book about just IVF.
We all have many REs in the chat. So
yeah. But when I tell you, when I got his protocol, I said, this protocol is gonna get me pregnant. I knew it. It was so aggressive. It was, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna take this much. It was not, okay, well, we think we're gonna adjust this. No, he had it. Like, I still have it. I still have my thing, and I look at it and go, this is the protocol that's going to get somebody over 45 pregnant. I don't care who you are, because it was the best protocol I ever had for the work. Because like I said, the workup he did for me was amazing, but it was the best protocol I ever had for an IVF cycle.
Well, there you have it.
Okay.
I appreciate you taking your time. I thank you guys. Oh, they gonna wait. They gonna wait because they want to know. They be